Okay, thank you so much, everybody, and thank you especially to the panel for joining us. I just want to, I will introduce people and I'll be facilitating, but mostly trying to be quiet. And I'll start by introducing and thanking Anam Abbas, the director of the film. She's a Pakistani-based, Pakistani-Canadian filmmaker and runs Other Memory Media as a producer and DOP, director of photography. Her first feature, Showgirls of Pakistan, premiered in competition at IDFA 2020, which is an important international documentary film festival, and was released globally by Vice in 2021. This Stained Dawn that we have the pleasure of watching this evening is Anam's first feature documentary as a director, and it premiered in international competition at 2021 Sheffield DocFest, where I had the joy of getting to see it. Anam is an alumni of Locarno Film Festival's Open Doors Hub from 2017 and 2018, Berlinale Talent, and a host of other prestigious places and events. So thank you so much, Anam, for your film and for joining us this evening. Let me just introduce the rest of the panel before handing over to them. Next to me, I have Samin Mohsin Ali, who's a lecturer in international development in the department of that name at the University of Birmingham. She was previously an assistant professor at Lahore University of Management Sciences in Lahore, Pakistan. She's co-director of the Women in Public Service in Pakistan Oral History Archive project. Next to her, we have, am I supposed to say the right honourable?
No. I have a standing government. No, it's just Zara.
Is Zara Sultana. It's a delight to have you here. It's a delight to have so many women and powerful women with us this evening, especially when we're watching a film that's so much about women's activism and celebrating women's activism. It's wonderful to have such a fine collection of women activists who speak back to power all the time. So thank you, Zara, for joining us. And then she is a Member of Parliament for the Labour Party and has been for Coventry South since 2019, the general election in 2019, and sits on the left wing of the Labour Party, and was born in Birmingham and is of partly Pakistani ancestry, with her grandfather migrating from Kashmir to Birmingham in the 1960s. And next to Zara, we have Arjun Kazmi, who's a senior teaching fellow in the School of Law at the University of Warwick. Before she became an academic, she worked with NGOs in Pakistan and England for over 14 years in areas of democracy promotion and voluntary sector infrastructure. In her research, she's continued this commitment to understandings of democratization, constitutionalism, civil society, women's rights, and activism in the global south. And finally, we have at the end Marianne Canwell, who is a human rights activist. Her work focuses on the persecution of marginalized groups based on their ethnic or religious backgrounds in Pakistan. She's worked on youth development through community resilience, peace building, messaging, and conflict resolution. Mariam is currently affiliated with the IDS, that's the Institution of Development Studies, that comes out of the University of Sussex, for a project called CREED, that's the Coalition for Religious Equality and Inclusive Development, as a researcher. So I wanted to begin, if I may, by turning first of all to Anam, to thank you again. I don't know where to look, I should look here. I shouldn't look anywhere, I'll look at you. Turning first to Anam, and I really just wanted to know from you, you're obviously very close to what's happening in the film and clearly get to enjoy a very privileged and embedded experience. And I wondered if you could tell us a little about why that is, how the genesis of the project and how you get to be so immersed in that experience.
Sure. First of all, assalamu alaikum. Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm so pleased to present the film, especially on the opening night. And I wish I could meet all the panelists. Everyone sounds so cool. I moved to Karachi in 2016 for work, and I was making a web series, and I kind of reached out to local feminist artists there to collaborate with, and that was my like sort of through the rabbit hole. I became friends with just amazing women, a lot of whom you see in the film. So in 2018, when they announced the first Earth March, or when they were conceiving the first Earth March, the women behind it were friends and confidants and people I hung out with on a daily basis. And so I kind of saw it happen. I saw it grow. My role in 2018 was, I'm a filmmaker more than anything else, so my role was just to make their introduction video to announce what's happening and document a bit of the march. So part of the archiving and documenting started happening in 2018, and then 2019 I moved back to Islamabad and helped with the organizers there. And so it just, my experience became multi-city, and it also became experience of just knowing these women as friends and then as people who do this work. And so it was launching this project was like, I want to make a film about us and what we've experienced.
That's great, thank you. Great place to start. If I'm going to ask each of the panelists to respond, to share their responses to the film, and especially how it resonates both with their own experience, but also with the work that they do. And maybe if Marianne, as an activist, would start first.
So, first of all, thank you so much, Anam. Do I need to look at the camera or here?
I thought I'd put her here, so
Okay.
maybe she can see you.
Yeah, so thank you so much. This was, to me personally, it was very nostalgic. And the best part, I got to see so many of my friends, comrades, my fellow activists in the documentary, especially Leila, Fawad, Qurrat, Abida, and so many others, Aisha, so many others, so many more. So this is, I would say this is historic, but because I don't know if anyone has ever made a documentary on Aurat March. So I think this is the first one, but I'm not sure. So this is and when I was watching 2 days ago when Michelle sent me this documentary, I was actually watching with. My eyes were all teary because I wasn't there and I can't be there. So it's like you can connect through the documentary. One of the best things about the documentary that it has covered ground activists, people, women from working class who are struggling at many ends, but also who haven't lost hope in reclaiming this space. And it gives you insights into the lives of those who are organizing, and along with the insights, into the Aurat March. Also a very good and much needed insight how the current feminist movement is trying to be more inclusive. How women from various backgrounds and multiple political ideologies, they are coming together. So that was one of the best part, and the way it takes you step by step into the journey of Aurat March. Another important factor is you get to see through the documentary how class perspective brings variations and insights within the feminist movement. For example, women from Gharibabad, Gujarnala, how they were organizing and how they link forced eviction to women politics and women rights. Similarly, ethnic minority groups, they face a very different level of persecution, especially from the state. And when you meet Baloch women, you see how they are facing multiple levels of persecution. Their harassment comes directly from the state security agencies. But despite many challenges, the way they are leading the movement for Baloch missing persons, activists, doctors, students, is very inspiring and it's a motivation. And I'm honored to work briefly with the families of Baloch missing persons. So I have witnessed their struggle. And lastly, I want to share something very personal. So I am an activist and I am in exile. I had to leave Pakistan in 2015, and that was 2 days after a fellow activist, a dear friend, Sabine Mahmood, she was murdered right half an hour after she had organized a talk on Baloch missing persons. So after that, Karachi's civil society went silent. Everybody was shocked, scared. Nobody was willing to protest outside, the same press club. We used to spend 24/7 there. So personally, for me, it is very, very emotional and very heartwarming to see the revival of Karachi's civil society and how people, especially women, they are recovering. They are recovering from the collective trauma and how they are reclaiming this space and how they are organizing more powerfully. And you can see the aggression, the commitment, and despite many challenges, of course, because the organizers, I know how they have been declared blasphemous, how they have been declared anti-state, the organizers of Aurat March, but despite many challenges, and I would not say further, I think. These are. So thank you so much, Anand, for making this very, very relevant and very important documentary.
Hello. Hi, Anam. Thank you very much for making this documentary and bringing it to the audience here. I am from Karachi. I was born in Karachi, raised in Karachi, went to Karachi University, did all this activism that you saw by these young girls. I remember going to press clubs, planning rallies for women's rights. My first job was the Pakistan Women's Lawyers Association. But before that, as a university student, we used to go to this Frere Hall building that you saw in the documentary. And so it personally takes me back to Karachi. And I was thinking, okay, I used to eat those fresh guavas on the street, and while we were there on the grounds of Frere Hall, and then you see it, that fresh guavas